So how do you find your bottlenecks? The method matters less than the mindset. Identify what's broken in your system, target it precisely, track the response, and adjust. Here are your options. So, first option in determining what your bottlenecks are, obviously, since I've talked about it so much already, genomics testing. Functional genomic testing, okay? This is the most precise way. And this is exactly what we do for the Scowl Wellness package, right? Again, not trying to sell y'all on anything. Just letting you know. That's what we do here, right? It analyzes typically, like the way the Scowl Wellness package works, we analyze more than 135 different genes across multiple critical pathways, right? And again, this is not ancestry. This maps how your body processes nutrients, manages stress, detoxifies, and produces energy. Okay, it's in essence functional biology. So at that point, we interpret the results. We don't just give you the raw data, right? We interpret the results and we let you know, like, hey, look, because of this, and this is what's going on. We match everything up with symptoms that you may have, may not have, and we give you things that you need to look out for. The whole nine. But what it reveals methylation capacity, vitamin D receptor function, oxidative stress management, detoxification pathways, and inflammation tendencies. All of that stuff comes from this test. and we're able to interpret that stuff and let you know and give you interventions that you could do for you specifically and you only. It's the gold standard. It doesn't get better than that. So you're not guessing, and we're addressing your bottlenecks. That's a lifetime thing. That stuff doesn't change. It doesn't change. That's your blueprint. That's your code. That's your map. Now, if you can't do the genomic testing, fine. The option 2 would be symptom tracking. It's not as efficient, obviously. It takes way more time, and it's not as accurate, right? So you can ask yourself, obviously, what symptoms are you experiencing? Like fatigue, brain fog, weight gain, insomnia, things like that. Then you track patterns. When are they worse? What makes them better? And then you kind of go from there. Ultimately, at the end of the day, symptoms are signals, right? So you have a symptom of some sort thing. That's usually a signal of some other thing happening. The patterns that these symptoms reveal, these systems and how they work. So if you're consistently going through something, consistently showing up with this one particular symptom, that at the end of the day could lead to revealing what the whole thing is. But you have to be able to see what that pattern is, right? So again, patterns reveal systems. Now, option 3, you can go get functional blood work done, right? It's, your regular CBC metabolic panel, it misses a lot, okay? So you could go get more detailed labs done, and they'll usually tell you, even if you get a functional medicine practitioner, they'll tell you that the ranges are a little bit different from a functional side. So the ranges are a little bit tighter, right? And also, furthermore, a lot of times, depending on your situation, they'll look at the labs and say, well, even though if you're in range, it's not an optimal range. But again, the labs don't show everything. You still could be missing quite a bit. Again, go to the root. We're looking at the root cause of all of this stuff, right? So again, normal doesn't mean optimal. It means not deficient enough to diagnose. So you could test vitamin D, magnesium, a full thyroid panel, inflammatory markers, all that fun stuff. But it shows what your current bottlenecks are, not necessarily your genetic predisposition, right? So again, it's kind of just a snapshot, and Sometimes it could be a little inaccurate to what's actually going on, as I spoke about earlier. And then you have option 4, which is controlled experimentation. This is where most of the biohackers live, and then they kind of upgrade a little bit, right? But they pick one suspected bottleneck, they supplement for 4 to 6 weeks, they track the symptoms daily, rinse, wash, repeat, right? If you change more than one variable, you pretty much learn nothing anyway. So if nothing changes, that wasn't your bottleneck. And essentially, if you're going this option, don't add 7 things at once. You want to find that one thing that addresses the bottleneck. Now, there are a couple questions you want to ask yourself when going through this process, whatever option you choose, right? And this links directly, coincidentally, to the SCOW method, right? And let me break it down a little bit. So keeping it simple, supplements only matter if they help the system that you're actually training, right? That's one. Moving on to like the next part. So thinking about like a sound mind, right? You have to ask yourself a couple questions, right? First one, does this claim apply to my biology, or is it just their biology, right? You have to ask yourself some questions when it comes to claims made about certain supplementation. And you can't just blindly go into something and just say, hey, look, I'm going to take this and this is going to help me, right? And then from the identity perspective. So it's an interesting thing. I can get with the biohackers. I get it. I understand it. But I think they tend to take it a little too far sometimes, right? And hang with me, right? The biohacking community often makes optimization the entirety of like their existence, right? Because they do obsessively track everything. So they make that the point. They make that their purpose, which cool, okay, right? But they find their identity in their supplement stack, right? And their worth is tied to their biomarkers. So if something goes wrong, and from the SCOW method perspective, that's still fragmentation. Remember, I talked about that. Again, optimization is a tool, not an identity. Optimization serves a purpose beyond itself. Steward the body to serve or work or love longer for an extended period of time. You're trying to extend your capacity. So biohack not for the sake of biohacking. Biohack because it actually makes you better and able to do more.